When you're building a property portfolio, it's extremely important to make sure you choose the right property manager. In fact, so many people get turned away from being a property investor at all because of the fear about managing real estate. It doesn't need to be that complicated, and there are companies out there that have literally been doing this for hundreds of years. I'm joined by Andrew Cox, who's the CEO of Richardson Wrench. They've been in business for 153 years looking after people's homes, looking after their assets and securing people's future. Andrew, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate your time. I guess when it comes to property management, what should someone look for?
If you're going to be putting someone in charge of your really significant asset, it's important that you trust them. And that's an easy word to say, but I think it all comes down to really ticking off a few boxes. Make sure that they're an organisation that you are going to be able to communicate easily with. So what are the processes for them to talk to you, and what are the mechanisms for you to talk to them? What have they done in the past? How extensive is their portfolio? What management do they currently have in place, and what's their experience level? They really need to have a good understanding of the legislative requirements and all the statutory requirements that really go along with running a property, and there are quite a few, so it's important to get that right. And the other thing, of course, is the commercial side of things. What are their fees? And I think the only thing I would say here is you get what you pay for in property management. There are a lot of people out there discounting fees, but it's really important to make sure that you're going to have your best and one of your most significant assets looked after by professional people. And I think with that, you really need to make sure that you're going to have people who will really represent your interests the best possible way.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess what are the risks of not choosing a great property manager?
One of the things that I've seen is that people try and manage the properties themselves, and there are a lot of people who try and do it, but the vast majority of them convert to a professional fairly quickly because there's a lot of legal liability, there's a lot of personal liability that goes with running a property. It's also a bit of a false economy too. A lot of people think that they can do things themselves much cheaper than getting someone to do it professionally. What those people bring to that experience is they bring a lot of buying power with them, so they can actually come along with significantly better deals than you're ever going to be able to find as an own property manager. And I think it's really important that you don't underestimate the value that a professional property manager can bring to that transaction. It's also important they'll be able to filter out who's a good tenant, who's not a good tenant, and really to help you make sure that your asset is going to be best looked after and you're going to get the best possible return that you possibly can.
Failing to pay the typical management fees of 6, 7, 8% is a bit of a flawed strategy. Going out and doing it yourself is going to cost you in the long run. You mentioned a great point there, that a good property manager is really skilled at finding a great tenant. What does a great tenant look like to a property investor? Well,
it's really someone who's going to best look after your property and to give you the most secure revenue stream over the life of your investment. And how do you find that sort of tenant? Well, you need to go through and really do a bit of planning. You need to plan the sort of market that you're going to be targeting. You then need to go and promote that property to that market. So, what's your advertising going to look like? What's it going to say? What sort of pictures are you going to use? How are you going to represent the property to the marketplace when you're going for open for inspection listings and advertising? Once you've gone through that process of advertising, you're going to get a whole lot of people who will turn up. The real value of a property manager is to go through and make sure that those people are filtered the best possible way, and you're going to get a short list of people who are the ideal tenants for your property. Then go and do your reference checking, then go and do the background checks on their employment. Really make sure that you've got the right person for your property, because that is going to give you far greater security of revenue over the life of your investment.
Great companies like Richardson Wrench, they spend thousands of dollars in systems and applications to make sure that people's homes are well looked after, that their investments are kept safe for the future. I think I've learned a lot today. Andrew, really appreciate your time, just understanding the ins and outs of property management, and hopefully for our investors, they start to understand the importance of using a great property manager. Thanks, Andrew. I'm sure you'd agree that there were some great tips and strategies when it comes to understanding how to choose the best property manager. In fact, I call a good property manager your sleep at night factor. You've just heard from one of our property experts, but it doesn't stop there. Property investing is a journey, and it's always good to take as much information as you can to apply it to the marketplace. Positive Real Estate's been holding information nights for the last 10 years on property investment. I'd encourage you, register your details so we can help you understand what is actually happening out in the marketplace. Spend an hour and a half of your time at one of our free events, register your details, and I hope to catch up with you soon.